Hello and welcome back to Satisfactory. My name is Okada, and today we're going to be all over the place. And the reason we're going to be all over the place is because we're going to be riding some trains and upgrading train stations and getting our materials all brought together into one place that we're going to need to eventually get our computers up and running. And computers really are kind of the next real goal that we have, but there are some steps that we need to complete along the way, including getting the circuit boards up and running, and again, getting supplies all together. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave this area behind. I don't think there's anything we need to do at home, and start gathering some materials for building, make sure that we have everything that we need, and get going to the other area of the map and enjoy our little ride to the train station. So the first thing that we really need to do is make sure that we have the materials necessary to get at least the first things done, so we don't just get there and find ourselves short on parts. And what we need immediately are four, let's find them here, freight platforms. We need, arguably we need 3 of them, but we need 4. Because we have 2 for the quick wire, and then we have 1 for rubber and 1 for plastic. And it doesn't look like we have everything we need. Computers and motors. Okay, so although I do have stairs going down, I'm too lazy to do that. So I built I built a shortcut. All right, and I built another shortcut to get across the entire warehouse because boy, it is long, and I do a lot of running back and forth to get materials. All right, so we need motors. Where are our motors? Motors, motors, motors. All right. These are a little bit easier to see from here. Okay. So let's grab a couple of stacks of motors. That'll cover us a lot more than what we need. And computers, of course, we don't make computers yet, but you know, we did run that manufacturer for a little bit to make just a few, and we do have some sitting aside, not a whole lot, so let's run down and grab them. Let's go ahead and grab all of them, and let's grab our crystal oscillators in case we need them at some point. I doubt that we will, but I want to get them all into one place. And that one place I want them will be our train. Because this is our personal locomotive. So we'll toss these in here. We'll toss our extra overflow computers, save us some inventory space. I think we're pretty good on everything else. There are extra motors in there as well. Nope. That one. All right. All right, let's get this train going. And there we go. It gave me a little start there. As you can see, first of all, there are now some train signals. I've been kind of busy between episodes. And this is actually quite a bit to set up. And I couldn't really have viably done it on camera. There are still some more signals that I need to put in place, but there are enough now that all of the areas that could cause collisions, all the crossovers and the stations, are pretty well covered and blocked off properly. And I'm going to show you kind of how this works in case you're not familiar with how the train blocking works, the signal blocking. But I'm not going to go into a full tutorial. I'm sure that there are other tutorials out there by other creators that can give a better explanation, given, you know, time dedicating an entire episode to it. But what we are going to do is we're going to actually come back to that station we just left, and we're going to set up the 2 freight platforms necessary for picking up our plastic and our rubber. And we're going to bring them along this exact line, though this will not be the train. We already have 2 trains running, there's no cars on them. But they were test trains to make sure that, we didn't have any collisions when I was doing all this testing. You can see all the signals that were necessary here. But they will be the trains that we're going to use. They're already on their appropriate routes, and we're going to take one of them back over to where we just passed through. Until we come to a stop. All right. So, very quickly on the signals. Now, if you put a block signal somewhere, it divides the tracks into two colors, the before and the after. The color is not relevant. They don't mean anything specific other than to signify that that is a isolated segment. So you can see this kind of lime green track here is between these two signals. So if there is a train anywhere on this lime green, then nothing can come onto this segment. It's pretty simple. We get a little more complex though when we get into these merger situations and where we have these roundabouts. Now I could divide this more. This whole thing doesn't have to be all one color, but I want it to be. First of all, I don't want to overcomplicate the AI. But also, this makes sure that there aren't any weird issues. So anything that comes in on either one of these directions will shut off this whole area. So a train coming from the other side cannot be crossing through here in case a train is starting to go through the loop. And likewise, if there is one already, crossing straight across, then we don't have to risk a train trying to make the crossing at that time. And we want to catch that train that's coming along here. But that's really about it. But you can see it takes multiple signals. You have to make sure all the ins and outs of the track are covered. Got to catch this guy. And I have one for every station so that we can have trains in multiple stations without, them blocking each other from getting to their respective station. All right, I can jump in here. You see that light turn red because it is no longer valid if someone else, now that one's gone red because now we're on this track. Boy, I hope we have all the materials we need for the belts. Let's stop real quick like here. All right, so that broke the rule, right? It came onto a restricted track. That was because I was on manual driving and it was following the arrows. I wanted, before we left, to check my inventory. Let's grab a little bit more steel beam, just to make sure we have enough for belting. I don't think we're going to do much complexity over there. We're just going to... I've already run a fair amount of the belting ahead of time. But I didn't have the stations up and running. So normally this would have pathed around and avoided the station entirely. Now, a train can go through a station that it's not assigned to go to if that's the shortest path. A lot of times I've noticed that if the station isn't on it and there's a roundabout or a bypass, a lot of times the trains just go around it. So I don't know if that's a priority thing that's in it, saying, hey, if there's another route, take it instead. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. All right, we're here. I want to turn off early and I want to back it up because we're going to be putting a couple of stations in here. Beep, beep, beep. Brakes. Brakes. All right. I'm going to park it here just outside the station. There is no other trains set right now to come here, so no big deal. Now, one of the things that we need to consider is that we put these two stations side by side. There's no room to run belts. So we're going to have the output and input on this side, which is why we had this open space here. So let's delete these two. And go to the wheel. Freight platform, it's what we want. And there we go. Make sure it's facing this side. There we go. And we're going to want input, which is, I believe is the orange. Yes, it's the orange. All right. So we need some holes. And I think that's good. And that should be good as well. Perfect. Look at that. All right, we'll just copy that platform. Oh, not here, over here. Now, I don't have a preference which one is plastic and which one's rubber. I don't think it's going to matter to us, since the destination is not defined yet. That, make sure they are set to load. Very good. Very good. All right. Now let's head downstairs. Connect it. Like I said, I went ahead and pre-ran the belts. I also put more storage down there. And we haven't gone over the numbers yet, but once we get done building all of this, we're actually going to be at a deficit for, I think, rubber. Like just 5 per minute, something like that. Okay, where is our... Oh, they're over there. And so I set up a bunch of double storages just to make sure that we could, you know, have enough to run at full speed until we actually come back and get to doing our full area for oil. I think that I should zoom vertical. Do this. There we go. That's gonna just, you know, clean it up a little bit here. Oop, I'm gonna go zoop. Let's go 6, because that's the safe distance of a belt. And set up a couple of here. I think that's online. I don't think that's down at the right height, but that's okay. Oh. So if we go to the floor, 1, 2, there we go. I think that's going to be the correct height. Now we don't need both of these at the moment, right? We don't have that much rubber and plastic coming in. We only need 1 on each. But that's fine. You know, set it up for the future. 2, 1, 2. I think that's going to be it for the other one. Come on, come on, come on. Thank you. And they're side by side. One's going to go on the bottom, and one's going to go on the top. And we'll just leave the other ones just dangling there until they're needed later in our progression. Looking good. And who ends up where? Looks like rubber is going to end up in the second car. All right, meet you back at the top. All right, these should be loading up. Very good. Excellent. Now, of course, we are only producing 80 per minute. So again, you know, it's not going to fill up real fast. And one thing we didn't check before we left was, do we have freight car material? Yes, we do. Okay. All right. All right, let's head back to the hub. All right, here we are. You know, I said we needed 4 freight platforms, but we actually needed 6 because we need... I forgot about the 2 loading platforms we need over there. We're going to wait for this to pull out. We don't need it anymore. And we're going to put 2 unloading platforms over here. Now again, when we built this, we planned ahead and left this space in the middle for the belts to come down. Down here, so we can have belts come down from this one and from this one because the line is really close over here. And there he goes to pick up more plastic and rubber. You see, he skipped the station. All right. And while he's gone, grab one of those. That's going to go to the outside. And we're going to set these to unload. And we need to catch the other train. Did he sneak in on us? Nope. All right. Now, of course, only one of the freight platforms over at Quickwire is being filled up because we have half of the Quickwire facility shut off. So I believe this will come in once we put freight on the back of it, and we'll have Quickwire only in the secondary one. Let's turn it off. Excellent. All right, so when this guy comes back, he should drop off Quickwire. Get out of his way. And hit set to unload. Set to unload, excellent. Let's get our holes set up. I feel like I probably should space it out just a little bit so it looks nicer under the bottom when we have to put the support poles side by side. All right. Make sure the air train isn't coming. See, he skipped the station as well. All right, and this one should do an unload. Got a pair of time to watch it. Excellent. All right, we have plastic and we have rubber. Hey, so far it's working. And we'll look at it on the other Quickwire one once it gets back here. But now we need to decide where we're going to build our building for circuit boards. So give me a second here. Make sure I don't get run over by that guy. Okay, yeah, he's going straight. But give me a second here to kind of look over the area. Now that we know where the items are going to be coming in at. And decide where we're going to make that construction. All right, I think I've scouted the area out pretty well and marked out what I think is going to be pretty good spaces for us to use. Now, I noticed we have this giant kind of crater up here, which is going to be a good area, you know, except for its existing inhabitants, which we will have to have a small understanding with about land rights and usage. Let's get back away from here for now. This is going to be a good area for large buildings like manufacturers, and we will talk to those guys later about it because we're not doing manufacturers in this episode. That's very rude. We are going to be doing assemblers, however. I think that right here will be very good for it. So we can just draw a good line across there, and we can fit a lot of assemblers in here, and that's what we need to do. We need to make assemblers for our circuit boards, and the circuit boards will then be able to pop up there, and we can have a manufacturer building for the computers, you know, probably next episode. And I built a kind of a drop down. I considered, first of all, doing a suspension setup, kind of like what we did in steel. But we have all this open area, and I want actual proper buildings. So we are doing a drop floor there, but that's going to be for belting purposes. So I want to take a moment to do some quick math, show you how that's going to work up there, and then kick into a time lapse and actually build the circuit board building. So we're going to try to do this kind of on the fly here with our spreadsheet. Of course, I already know some of the numbers, but I want to show you. Let's bring this up. Now, this is our circuit board setup. It's going to be 12.5 plastic per minute and 37.5 quick wire per minute. Now, we are really well set for quick wire for sure. But let's go, let's say machines. And here we're going to do circuit boards. We'll just circ in, out, total in, total out. I'm not going to worry about the megawatts. So we want plastic and quick wire. It's going to take 12.5 per minute, 37.5. The output is going to be the circuit boards itself, so 8.75. We only need one line for that. And we'll do total in is going to be that times that. So we know how much plastic we're using. And we can just copy that down. And then total output is going to be that times the machines. So if we have one machine, well, the copy down did not behave. Oh, that's right, because we didn't put an and sign. All right, that doesn't matter. I'm going to type it in. I tried to shortcut it, and I didn't lock the cell. Doesn't matter. Not going to worry about it. This is not an Excel tutorial or Excel generic. So this is going to be how much we're using and how much we have coming out. Now let's go for our computers. Oops, not there. And go over there. And circuit boards, quick wire, rubber. Uses 26.25, 105, and 45. Our output will be 3.75. And equals this times that. So we say 1. All right, so that works. Now, we know some of the numbers, some of our limits. We have only 80 plastic and rubber coming in per minute.
And we always say we want to have at least, say, 2 of these machines to start off with. So we're going to set that as our target. That does not look right. This times that should have been 90. All right. Uh, don't know what I hit. Don't worry about it. So we can already see that we're going to be over on rubber because we are producing only 80 per minute, as I mentioned. But we have 3 large storages of rubber and 2 stations backed up, or at least we will by the time we have this built. So, losing 10 per minute until we can get to our oil area and actually build it out, not going to be a problem. Quick wire, we're bringing in 1200 per minute. We don't care about that. That's fine. Circuit boards are what we need to match. We're talking about 52.5 per minute, which, if we go to 6, is exactly the amount. So that is perfect. Also, for plastic, that's 75 per minute. We're producing 80. That also is within our limits. So that is our goal. So for today, we are going to do 6 assemblers along that line. I got my bearings back. Along this area. And then we will be ready to make 2 manufacturers for computers, probably again next episode. And of course, we are going to set it up so that we can expand because we will end up wanting more. And finally, this bottom floor here, I just made it a couple of wall heights high so that we have plenty of room to bring down belts and run them across to wherever we need the outputs. Just kind of clean it all up rather than running it down to the beach floor where it's all uneven. And we can run it across from the other side as well, real easy. And we can also bring them back up and send them up into train stations for export. So I think this is going to work out beautifully. And I think we need to get to building because we're probably running out of time. So let's kick into a quick time lapse here and get our circuit board building up and running. All right, there it is. It's your standard assembly building. Let's get it fired up here. I did some internal paint work as well as the external. The computers are predominantly green and orange. And so I kind of went with that as a theme. I also found that we can have stairs here, not just ramps for the fancy catwalks, which is nice. And I went blue with the plastic input and yellow with the quick wire input. But that's about it to show for this. Of course, we're definitely out of time. Once these start producing, they're going to go up to a storage bin, a temporary storage bin for, preparation to go to computers. We'll wait here and watch some of them come off the line real quick. All right, we finally have some coming off the line. Well, that's a bunch of them too. Look at them go. Very nice, very nice. And I did the kind of wrapping in the steel
wall, which we haven't used in the past. And this is kind of as the result of a viewer observation about the colors and things we're using. And it really got me thinking about that. We can use this for a metallic surface. And I'm liking the way it did come out. So let's get back to base. I got one more thing I want to show you real quick and get to our outro. So here's a building that we made last episode, which is the heavy modular frame building. And taking the viewer suggestion about, colors and whatnot, and they mentioned that this really should be a more silver. And, we can't really do silver very well with paint because it just kind of turns into a white. We don't really have the metallic reflection of it. But that's what prompted me to go ahead and buy these steel walls. And I tried to do some highlights between episodes, and it just didn't come out real well using the steel walls. But when I replaced all the steel walls, wow, I really liked the way this building came out. And I found that these steel walls have a black band built into them. See that black line? That's not an in-between line that I've made. That's actually part of the wall segment. So going together with the black, it just pops. And so I'm very grateful for that suggestion. It pushed me to use these walls. And I really like the way the building came out. So thank you very much for that suggestion. And I think it improved our building quite a bit. And the next order of business, although we are still over time, is that we need 500 of these modular engines. And I've gone ahead and gathered up all the materials for them. So it's ready to go. Because our smart plating completed. So we'll just let this run. We don't care how long it takes because, well, we'll be doing other things long after it's done. And one more thing to take care of. We have some more things that we can complete. So today we're just going to knock this one out, even though we won't be using these for anything at the moment. But, it's something to do. All right, another milestone done. We're back to our house, and it's right there, but I'm too lazy, so we're going to take the automatic way. Home sweet home. Excellent. All right. Well, hopefully we didn't run too far over time. I'll cut down what I can. So another very productive episode. We got a bunch of stuff done. We're prepared to move into getting our computers up and running. We got to go over the blocking signals for the trains and actually getting train stations up and running. So that was excellent. And I'm very happy with our progress. And I'm excited to get more of the trains up and running and the stations going and start getting the complex products brought together and maybe getting some of them on their way back to here for storage because we'll use them in more complex things. But thank you so much for coming out. If you liked it, definitely leave a like. And you haven't subscribed yet, consider subscribing. And, definitely leave comments. As you can see by this episode, your comments do influence the direction of the series. And they are very appreciated, even if you're just saying hi. But again, thank you for coming out, and I hope to see you in a future episode.